Hello everyone, my name is Aaron Woodman, and I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. In this video, we will talk about controlling your emotional reactions. This is important for not letting your emotions make you lose control of yourself when you engage in disagreement. An important way to master your emotional reaction is to slow down and consider the consequences of your emotional reactions. Let's look at the research behind this. A team of psychologists at University College London invited subjects into the lab in pairs. The first person was hooked up to a little squeezing machine, which applied a very small force on her finger. She was then instructed to press down on the other person's finger using exactly the same amount of force. Crucially, the other person had no idea about this part of the instruction. The second person was then instructed to push back on the first person's finger using exactly the same amount of force as they felt. The two individuals traded finger pushes while the scientists measured the precise force they used. In every pair of pushers tested, the use of force escalated quickly until the two people were pushing down on each other's fingers about 20 times the original force. It is an experiment that offers an ominous glimpse into the dynamics of human escalation. Each participant thought they were behaving proportionally to the other, and while nobody was deliberately raising the stakes, somehow the pressure rose anyway. This raises a question: why don't all of our conflicts escalate in the same way? One answer is that some people react slowly to the emotional signals they receive from others. Researchers who study marital communication find that couples who reciprocate each other's negativity are more likely to be unhappy. For although, as we've seen, negativity can be helpful to a relationship, too much bad feelings are obviously unhealthy. What matters is the ratio of positive to negative feelings over time. Individuals who have emotional inertia, who tend to stay close to the same emotional state, whatever is going on, also act as stabilizing influences. If you are frustrated by the way that your partner or a colleague does not seem to respond immediately to your mood, good or bad, there may be a reason to be grateful for it. A measure of emotional inertia is healthy in a relationship or a group. For example, when you are putting together a team or choosing a partner, it might be wise to think about the mix of personalities through this lens. A good team should be passionate, creative people in it, but unless it has skeptical or just plain unexcitable individuals too, disagreements can race out of control in unpredictable ways. Once you get the right mix of personalities, you need to prevent escalations by having calm responses. The participants in the finger pushing experiment were acting in a manner that the relationship scientist Alan Sillars calls, in the context of marital roles, quote, mindless reciprocation, unquote. Each was instinctively responding to the other's last move, and neither was asking themselves how to respond to it. To be clear, nobody has asked them to. Since they had no goal to achieve, they exerted little self-control. Huth Waite International, a UK-based company that provides training in sales and negotiation skills, has been collecting data on the behavior of negotiators for over 50 years. It has carried out a series of long-term studies using a consistent methodology based on direct observation of real negotiations. One of the aims of this research has been to establish differences in behavior between highly skilled negotiators and average ones. Negotiators deemed as highly effective have to be rated as such by both sides and to have a track record of success. One of the major differences identified by Huth Waite's researchers is the way that negotiators handle conflict. Like anyone else, negotiators sometimes get mad with their counterparts when they come up against a disagreement. Huth Waite uses the term, quote, defending and attacking, unquote, for emotionally heated behavior in which the negotiator either displays aggression towards the other party or makes an emotional defense of themselves. The company's researchers have observed that the behavior has a tendency to form, quote, a spiral of increasing intensity, unquote. As one party attacks, the other defends in a way that the other perceives as an attack. As a result, defensive and offensive moves become hard to tell apart. Average negotiators are most likely to react defensively to disagreement or implied criticism using phrases like, quote, "you can't blame us for that," unquote, or, quote, "it's not our fault," unquote. But all this does is provide a sharp reaction from the other side, setting off a spiral. In fact, average negotiators engage in defend attack spirals 3 times as often as skilled ones. They also follow a pattern of escalation that relationship scientists have identified as common in marital rows starting their attacking behavior slowly with low-level sniping and gradually increasing its intensity as the other side does the same until a full-on confrontation ensues. More skilled negotiators handle things differently. It is not that they never employ hostility, but they do so rarely, and when they attack, they hit hard and without warning. What this suggests is that skilled negotiators exert more conscious control over their aggression than less skilled ones. When they get hot, it is because they are using heat as a means to an end. Perhaps they want to send a signal about what they care about or to move the discussion out of a rut. Whatever it is, what they never do is let the conversation control them. Skillful communicators, says Alan Sillars, refuse to submit to the logic of reciprocity without considering first if that's a wise thing to do. They deliberately slow the conversation down and consider their options. They are not just thinking about what they want to do, but what they do affects the other and about the best way to reach their goal for the conversation. That is not easy when you are feeling a surge of rage or fear, which raises your heart rate, priming you to take quick, impulsive decisions, often bad ones. But just being aware of what is causing your reaction can help you bring it under control. In fact, let's dive deep into the importance of self-awareness and emotional reactions. Ellis Amdor is a specialist in anger. After studying psychology at Yale, Amdor spent nearly 14 years in Japan at a number of martial arts schools. He returned to the United States to study a form of psychotherapy influenced by phenomenology, which explores how we perceive the world as shaped by what we believe. To Amdor, anger is never just anger. He teaches officers how to assess the kind of anger a person is displaying and how to handle it. Amdor talks about the brain as having 3 levels: human, mammal, and reptile. In the human brain, he says, quote, "we can have some heat in the encounter, but we are interested in what the other person is trying to say. We are trying to achieve a win-win outcome." Another word for it is dialogue, unquote. In the mammal brain, this is when a disagreement raises the heart rate. The encounter becomes a struggle over dominance, with the dominant emotion being anger. Amdor says, quote, "my focus becomes on what I have to say, and I have little interest in what others are saying. That's why you hear people saying, 'You're not listening. Give me a chance to talk. You don't get it,'" unquote. In the reptile brain, he says, quote, "this is when anger takes over. An angry person cares only about winning the argument. That goal may overlap with truth. That may be right, but truth is not the goal. You cannot problem solve with an angry person. You can't even ask questions to them, since to the angry person, your questions confirm that you have not been listening to them. If you say, 'Are you mad?' they'll reply, 'What the heck do you think?' It is better to say, 'I see you are mad.'" Essentially, in the reptile brain, rage takes over. With these 3 levels of the brain in mind, we can see how we would start with a peaceful mindset until something major triggers ourselves that causes us to get angry. Your mind has to operate at full capacity on at least 3 levels at once. First, you are playing a cognitive chess game by focusing on what you know about someone, what they know about what you know, and what you need from them. Second, you are trying to establish an emotional relationship with rapport or trust with an individual who is doing their best to push you away. Third, you're in a struggle with yourself. In any heated conversation, the conflict we are having with another person is entwined with a conflict we are having within ourselves. We can think about this internal argument as a struggle between competing goals. Whatever we are doing, there is always a goal or goals we are trying to achieve, whether we are fully aware of them or not. According to behavioral scientist William T. Powers, he envisioned the mind as a series of goal-driven systems stacked in a hierarchy. The lowest systems control our body, the central nervous system, our muscles, while the highest levels involve conscious awareness and purpose. At the lowest levels, actions can be performed automatically and unthinkably because they have instructions from above. When you are driving a car, you don't have to think about every moment you make, because you have set yourself the goal of driving. That goal is itself in the service of a higher, more strategic goal. Our problems arise, says Powers, when systems get into conflict with each other. For example, perhaps your body has set you the goal of staying on the sofa, but your higher system is demanding you visit the store because the sofa needs replacing. So you feel anxious and unhappy until one side or the other wins out. In a confrontation of any kind, with your partner, with a colleague, with a stranger, we often get stuck in one of these inner struggles. Our lower, more instinctual system has set us on a goal of winning the argument in front of us, while a higher system has set a goal of maintaining a good relationship with this person. The competition is not necessarily an even match. Those lower systems are powerful. They could bully us. We get so focused on the goal in front of us to win the argument, to best this person, to display our superior intelligence and wit, that we lose awareness of any higher goal altogether. Even when the error signals are loud and clear, when the argument feels stressful and painful, we charge ahead. When someone is being rude or hostile to you, it is almost like an invitation to you to do the same. A part of you naturally wants to accept the invitation and rip right into them. When that happens, we are allowing them to control our reactions instead of remembering that we have a choice of goals. Perhaps your goal is to make that person feel bad about themselves or to humiliate them. Perhaps you don't care about burning the relationship, in which case, go ahead, pursue that goal mindfully. But often it is better to refuse their invitation and choose your own tone. If you're talking to someone with whom you want or need to have a good ongoing relationship, following them down to the low ground will be a bad move for both of you. In which case, the best thing to do is to back up, slow down, and consciously choose your own path instead of the one you have been invited to follow. William Powers provided a useful way of thinking about this. Whenever we get stuck in an internal conflict, we should kick the problem up to the next level. In other words, we should try and get more perspective on our behavior and more clarity on our goals. Specifically, we can ask how and why. The how question shines the spotlight down to our lower level behaviors. So in an unpleasant argument with someone, we might take a mental step back and ask, how am I conducting myself in this argument? Am I being bad-tempered, sarcastic, aggressive? The why question shines the spotlight up to our higher goals. Why am I engaging in this row? What am I after? What's the point? When you know the answer to why, you can decide on what to do about how. You might change your tone and become warmer or playful or more playful, or in the moment, if the moment calls for it, more aggressive, like those expert negotiators did at moments of their choosing. Moving up a level like this does not guarantee your interlocutor will respond in the manner you are inviting them to. For instance, they might respond to your warmer tone with more aggression, but at the very least, it lifts you up and out of the moment you're in. Winning the argument right now suddenly feels less important. You will be more focused on your conduct and having an appropriate emotional response. In conclusion, emotional escalation does not usually happen because people want conflict to spiral. It happens because they react automatically to what is happening in real time. The research we looked at shows that when we simply mirror the emotional responses we receive, small disagreements can quickly grow into major confrontations without either person intending it. Skillful communicators and negotiators pause, think about their goals, and choose responses that serve a purpose rather than just satisfying an impulse. They resist mindless reciprocation and instead act with intention. Understanding our internal emotional systems also matters. When anger arises, we can shift from thoughtful dialogue into dominance driven arguments or even blind rage. In those moments, our lower instinctive goals, like winning an argument, can overpower higher goals like maintaining respect, trust, and long term relationships. Regaining control requires stepping back and asking two key questions. How am I acting right now, and why am I engaging in this conflict? These questions help us move to a higher level of awareness where we can choose our behavior rather than be driven by emotion. All in all, controlling emotional reactions is not about suppressing your feelings, but about choosing a response on your own instead of being controlled by someone else's tone or behavior. When you slow down, clarify your goals, and respond appropriately, you prevent unnecessary escalation and create space for healthier, more constructive conversations. In the next video, we will talk about being genuine and truthful. Until then, please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and turn on the post notifications so you will be notified when I post my next video. I appreciate your support. Remember, you are powerful, you are capable, and you are the change maker our society needs. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you soon.